There you go. Hi, everybody. This is Vineet, CEO and founder of teleportme.com, and I wanted to welcome everybody to the fifth live interview. And it's been a while. Sorry about that. I've been traveling, and it has been very difficult to find consistent internet. And so now that I have found something, I'm excited for our first interview that we're back. And I was waiting for this to talk to this company and really waiting for this opportunity. And so without further ado, I wanted to welcome the VP of Marketing of Insta360, Michael Shabun. We've been corresponding for a while, and he's been very, very amazing to take his time to come and talk about the new launch of the Insta360 camera. And we're going to talk about some of the older models also that have more pertaining to 360, and also the new action camera that they just released. So a big round of applause and welcome to Michael. Let me clap. There you go. Hey, Michael, what's up?
Hey, Vineet. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. I think I can hear you. I think everybody can hear you.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me. This is really exciting.
Hey, no problem, man. I mean, welcome to the largest live interview series in 360 space, and you know we had to include the number one, I would say, maybe 360 camera in the space, Insta360, and you know you guys just launched a new product. Well, before you talk about Insta360, Michael, why don't you talk about some of your background? I know you worked at GoPro, if I'm not wrong. Oh no, DJI or GoPro, I'm not very sure, but one of those. But I would love to know more about your background and how you got into Insta360.
Yeah, it was DJI actually. I habitually follow the coolest and most cutting edge technology. It's something that I've always been passionate about, and I started at DJI in 2014, and I spent about 3 years there. We launched everything from, I think the first product that I helped launch was the Inspire One, and helped come up with the name for it.
Wow, really? Okay.
Yeah. It's well, we can get into it later, but originally it was called the Triumph, and didn't seem so exciting.
No, it seemed much better. How about that?
Yeah, and I saw some incredible growth in the company. You know, when I started at DJI, it was already a large company. There were about 4,000 employees there. The business was booming. The consumer product that had just launched was the Phantom 2 Vision Plus, and so there was a lot of hype and around it about how the cameras and the drones are finally getting better. They're getting easier to use, and the exciting part was when about 6 months later, when we launched the Phantom 3, and that was kind of like the door opener to the professional industry, and when folks started actually using them for everything outside of just hobbies.
Yeah.
So it was cool to see the growth of that company, and there were a lot of really smart people there who I got a chance to interact with and work with. It was completely different than Insta360. When I left DJI, I actually left to start a video production company, and Insta360 was our first client. We had gotten introduced through the Shenzhen, the Silicon Valley of China network, right? And we, my old business partner and I, we met with JK, who's our founder, and Leon, our CEO, and they kind of mapped out their vision of where they wanted to see Insta360, and we both kind of looked at each other and said, "Wow, this company is the future. We need to get in on this because they're doing some really awesome stuff." And about 6 months later, after that project, I came full time. And it was a huge decision for me. I'm sure you know, like managing your own business versus working for a corporation is quite different. And when JK highlighted the product slate for me and what he was working on, I couldn't refuse. So it's been about 4 years for me here at Insta, and I don't regret a single day of it. It's the most demanding job I've ever had, but it's also the most rewarding job. So it's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. All right, so let's get into the meat of it. I mean, I see some people already commenting, Sean from Swanson, Alston, Anthony. So if you're hearing this, definitely leave a comment so we can give you a shout out. Um, yeah, so let's talk about the new product you just launched. It's not a 360 camera. It's more in the space of kind of an action camera, but not really. It's kind of like a hybrid of, you know, I can't, I don't think there's a single definition under which it really, kind of fits. So tell us more about the Go and like how does it work, and like what is the mentality of the company, or the strategy in launching something that is maybe a little bit different from the previous products that they launched?
Oh man, this was probably our most ambitious product we've ever created, and it's funny. I'll just start with the most common thing that I hear from reviewers and from consumers. It's like if a GoPro and AirPods had a baby, uh, and here's my AirPods case, and here's the Go 2, right?
Right,
So
right.
they're very I think with this camera, it was a culmination of a lot of technology that we've been creating, and to properly highlight what's so cool about the Go 2, I want to maybe give a couple minutes history about how Insta360 technology has evolved.
Sure.
So, as you all know, I mean, the funny part about this is that we've grown monumentally. The company is only 6.5 years old. And in that 6.5 years, we've defined ourselves as the industry leader. And this is due to the how we marry hardware and software together. Anybody who's used an Insta360 camera compared to other 360 cameras know that it's super feature rich. It's easy to use. There's a lot that you can do on the post production side. And what we've done essentially is we've scaled our technology from traditional 360 cameras into single lens cameras. And with the last version of the Go, we kind of proved the concept of, well, we can make single lens cameras, and this can work. And the way we've done it is the most important part is the stabilization. So our stabilization algorithm actually evolves from how we create it for 360 cameras. We take a
Right.
sphere and we stabilize it. The way traditional action camera companies do it is completely different. There's more reliance on the gyroscope. Sometimes there's cropping that's being done with like cell phone cameras. So it's a totally different way of organizing the processing for that data. And so with the Go 2, we've applied everything that we've learned from 360 stabilization into making a solid single lens camera. And anybody who's used the Go 2 has seen that when you're shooting in our pro mode, it's actually recording a spherical video, and
Yes,
it's
I've seen
using
that.
that
I've seen
spherical.
examples. Yes.
So that really helps us a lot. So the stabilization that you're seeing on a tiny single lens camera is now essentially equal to what you're getting from gimbal quality stabilization, and it's really cool what we can achieve by working backwards. But Insta360, what we do is we try to with traditional action cameras, I think some folks have struggled with editing. And what we do is we put a big emphasis on trying to automate as much of that process as possible. So where wearables failed 10 years ago, we're trying to pick up the slack, but we're also trying to show that this is a functional and stable camera for action sports users because of the upgraded stabilization, the image quality, the larger sensor. Believe it or not, the sensor size in our Go 2 camera is actually the same as the sensor size in like a Hero 9. So it's quite crazy what we were able to achieve with this one.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, I think, Michael, I mean, so we at Teleport Me, have been in the 360 space since 2011. And I remember when Insta360 came onto the scene, they were trying to push this 360 camera, and they did a very good job of marketing, but they came out of nowhere. So can you talk a little bit about kind of the history of Insta360? Because it is, it's based in China, but really nobody knows. And, people keep coming and going. And, I have spoken to maybe 10 to 15 people that represented Insta360 over the past 6, 7 years. Uh, can you explain a little bit about Insta360, because it is kind of like a mystery company, because everybody knows your competition, everybody knows Ricoh, which is probably your biggest competition in the space. Everybody knows GoPro. Can you speak a little bit about the company, how big the company is, how many employees, like how is it distributed across the world, and so on and so forth?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the little known fact is that most people think right now that we're much bigger than we are in terms of manpower. We have around 400 or 450 employees worldwide right now. So
Well, that
it's not
is
a
pretty
small
big.
number.
That is
Yeah,
pretty
it's
big.
we're growing. When I started, it was about 200, and we're very cautious in how we scale up. We want to make sure that we're scaling the right way, that we can stay consistent on our product delivery. And the thing that I always complain about is, hey, I need more marketing people. But what we do really well is we put about 60 to 65% of our workforce in R&D and engineering. So we're always able to turn out new and cutting edge products. As any of you have seen, we're able to continuously update our products, which actually, the product that you start out with and what you end up with a year later is totally different, which is something that really defines us well. So we're really proud of our engineering and our R&D. JK, our founder, he leads our product development team, and he takes a really hands-on approach to every single product and every single feature that comes out. So it's really the workflow that we've established has been it's worked for us to continuously upgrade the products. And in the past 3 years or so, we've scaled worldwide, and we're now available in over 160 countries for sales. And we've expanded our distribution network. We've being a Shenzhen company, we're able to build relationships with key manufacturing facilities, and we're able to lower prices down to the point where it's more simple for consumers to get the best price with the best features. And that's kind of what we pride ourselves on, right? Is delivering a high performing hardware product, cutting edge software features, but also keeping the price point down for average consumers to be able to onboard the technology. Because as you know, in the VR space, it's the shift to VR has not been easy, right?
Oh, it's been horrible. Easy is an understatement. Yeah.
And before Insta360, I mean, what were people doing? They were slapping together a bunch of cameras, and you had to have a super high level of skill to even stitch together the
Yeah.
footage. And what JK did about 8 years ago in his college dorm was he created a live stitching algorithm using some homemade sensors and parts, and that's where Insta360 evolved from. It's all about the live stitching and making it easy for anybody.
Got it. Awesome. And okay, that's great. And so most of the team probably is based out of Shenzhen, and the rest around are kind of marketing slash sales slash BD teams around the globe. You would say, right? Because the
Yeah,
main
our core team is in Shenzhen, but we also have offices in Japan, in Germany, folks in the UK, and now we have our office here locally in Los Angeles.
Awesome, great. All right, so let's get into the. So Sean says that you guys did a great job on the goal launch. So congratulations on that, because you are part of marketing also, right? If I'm not wrong, marketing and
Yeah,
BD.
I wear a marketing hat on certain days for sure. Thank you so much, Sean. It's really great to hear that, and I'm sure our engineers will be really happy to hear as well.
Awesome. So let's get into the most important reason why people are tuning in to hear you is some color about what Insta360 is going to do next in the 360 camera space. Because we all were expecting another 360 camera, but you kind of just blindsided us with the Go. So what's going on? Well, is Insta360 shifting focus into more action cameras, kind of a larger market? What's the sort of, I know it's a very ambitious goal, and I see that because it's really difficult to get small form factor, especially with cameras and heating problems. So I totally understand that. But in terms of kind of focus, do you think that there is kind of a shift of focus because the 360 market is a little smaller than kind of the general action camera market, or what you would call as, I don't know what you would call the Go, but small camera market. multi-purpose use. Where do you think that focus kind of goes into?
Yeah, it's less of a shift away from traditional 360 camera. The 360 is our core technology, and we're never going to move away from it. I think with the Go, it's more of an expansion into new territories. Our engineers saw an opportunity to apply the technology that we built out over years for 360 and scale it into single lens cameras, and it's worked really well. But we're by no means forgetting about our core users who have helped build our company up. I would say it's interesting because some people will call the Go 2 an action camera, and some of them are starting to call it a lifestyle camera, and it's also a wearable camera, and it's a tiny camera. So it fits so many
It's
different
like a
audiences and use
multi-purpose camera,
cases.
I guess.
Yeah. I guess whatever the situation calls for, Go can be there to help you. There's even folks in the professional videography space who now are wanting to use Go 2 as their, no pun intended, go to behind the scenes camera. So there's so many different applications coming up for it right now. It's cool to watch how people's gears are turning in their brains when they see all the features, and they're like, oh well, maybe I can use it for this, and can you guys build these features out, because maybe my particular application would be much better that way. And we're already getting requests from it, and it's honestly, it's something that Insta360 does really well. Is we listen to our users and we try to give them the features that they would want to see in their camera. So but as far as future cameras, I obviously can't say too much. I can say that um, we are planning a few updates for Pro 2 and Titan in the coming in this year, and it's been a little while since we've made an update, and we've been listening and we've been learning from 360 users, and there's some great new features that are being planned. We're probably gonna release some information about it in the coming months or so. To be frank, there's no Pro 3 or Titan 2 coming in the next 12 months. The focus is going to be to really tighten everything up on the existing product lines.
Software updates, kind of feature updates on there.
Yeah, we want to make sure that our core users who currently own the Pro 1 and the Pro 2 and the Titan are happy, right? We don't just want to release a new product, forget about the old ones and move on. It's more about building this community of users who are continuously using our cameras and have been requesting features. And so there was a big discussion internally about this, and the idea was 2021, let's focus on improvements and updates, and then 2022, let's discuss if it's possible, if it makes sense to put out new hardware.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense, because maybe also kind of the market for VR is not here yet, where you would actually need kind of a better hardware. And even the current hardware, I think, with the Pro 2 and the Titan is good enough for handling whatever is there in VR today. I was actually yesterday talking to a potential customer of ours who basically is kind of the marketing lead at all the wineries back in Napa, and they wanted to do something with using the Insta360 Titan, and so we were having a feasibility discussion on that, and they wanted to do kind of a live walkthrough, and like kind of very, very ambitious ideas. And my kind of feedback was that I don't think it's ready at this point of time. Is that also how you feel? Which is kind of, yes, you have great hardware, but kind of the rest of the ecosystem is yet to catch up.
I think the biggest hurdle is the headsets, right? We don't have a consistent flow of 8K or even 11K headsets right now, and a lot of folks, they're coming to us and they're saying, "Well, I'm shooting this thing at 8K, but then I have to downscale it
Yeah.
to 4K to put on my headset or to view on my phone." And we heard about this with the original Pro 2 launch. So what we did was we kind of hacked the system, and we created a technology that's called Crystal View. Are you familiar with our Crystal View technology?
No. Absolute idea.
So
Yeah.
it's a way of essentially pixel packing. So if you shoot an 8K video, but you want to play it at higher resolution in a non 8K headset, it will pack as many pixels as possible into the field of view,
Right.
and it will lower the resolution of everything around you. So it's kind of like our way of saying, hey, headset manufacturers, you need to keep up with the times and put out some great headsets. There are some good 8K headsets coming out now. And I think this year, next year will finally be the time. But yeah, we've tried to help customers as much as possible. And the way to achieve our crystal view is we basically built an app for Oculus Go and for HTC Vive. You use our app. You do a basic conversion through our desktop software from your rendered out and stitched out file into a proprietary file format that we created, and then you just load that onto your headset through your app, and you're able to actually play it back in a higher resolution. Is it the ideal solution?
No.
Probably not, but
Right.
it's a temporary band-aid that will give a certain amount of users the ability to get even higher res content. So um, I would also like to mention that there's a big focus right now on building out the ecosystem. I think you hit a really sensitive note, is that there's all these different verticals and all these different users, from medical users to industrial warehouse users to sports. All sorts of VR training that we can discuss. Even folks like NASA and the Air Force are starting to use the cameras, but there's been a lack of customized software that will allow these folks to do what they need to do. It's more like we built these cameras. You can easily use them and record them, but when it comes to the post and the delivery and the distribution side, it's been a challenging. So over the past 18 months, we've built out our enterprise team, and we've partnered with over 15, I think it might be 20 different softwares now that will allow you to easily ingest Insta360 footage and scale it out to whatever you need. So if you're, we actually just did a webinar about VR training, right? So with VR training, uh, there's a lot of different users that can come in and have a different need, right? One person might need to train drivers on how to, like tour guides in resorts and parks, on how to properly drive and talk at the same time. So they might need like a simulation. Somebody else might need to create a corporate VR presentation that will train customer service representatives. So the idea with VR training is that there's now platforms that you can use that will automate a lot of the information for you. You plug in your data, and it will do the back end work in order for you to get a simple and digestible piece of content out of it. There are the big thing that's coming out right now that a lot of folks are focusing on is virtual tours, right?
Yeah.
There's obviously big fish like Matterport in the room, but there's now other companies that are coming out and saying, well, we also can offer something different. But for let's say for construction users, right? There's a really good software, blanking on the name right now, called Qpix, and Qpix will give you. It's more difficult to use than Matterport, right? With Matterport, they focus on, okay, well, real estate professionals aren't trained VR camera operators, so how do we make it as easy as possible for them, right? With Qpix, you get more access to photogrammetry data. You get more access to customization. You can bring in higher resolution imagery from the Insta360 Pro 2 and the Titan, in order to get more accuracy, right? So there's a bunch of softwares out there. They're all doing slightly different things, and it's actually really invigorating to see how they're working on it. Now there's all sorts of others. Like if you guys are interested in learning more about a lot of these software partners, you can go to our website. It's insta360.com/enterprise, and you'll see probably like 10 to 15 on there, from 3D Vista and VPix and MO Viewer. There's Kula and iStaging. I mean, it's really awesome to be able to name all of these companies, because a few years ago it was more like, okay, well, here's your camera, and then you guys go figure out the post side. And that was a huge
Yes.
deterrent for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I think like when we were there and when Insta360 kind of launched, there was really no way for people to even share kind of photospheres or kind of 360 photos anywhere. And so it definitely is, and especially with the pandemic, these things have kind of taken off. I think that 360 virtual tours, especially, have kind of uh, become a large market. But how big of a market do you see that as for you guys? I mean, at best, is it a $10 million business, 50, 100? Like, how do you guys kind of look at the market of virtual tours? And
Yeah,
is that even a market that you guys want to play in? Because the kind of the Insta360, the consumer side of Insta360, which is the 1X and the 1X2, not don't really do well with virtual tours. Kind of your competitor, which is Rico Theta, is really, really killing it in that market, the virtual tour market, and it's kind of the standard in that sense. So, have you guys thought about kind of becoming more of a professional camera, other than the video production side, where you guys are probably the king, the Titan and the Pro? Have you guys thought about maybe coming up with a more professional 360 camera that companies they ask like Teleport Me or Kula or 3D Vista? People that use this kind of software can really uh, kind of push forward.
yeah, we learned a lot from our partnership with Matterport, and just to throw a high level number out there, I mean we've been pushing thousands of units out to average real estate professionals who are looking at the 1X and the 1X2 as kind of a savior, right? They and Matterport actually came to us and said, "Hey guys, like people don't want to buy our $4,000 camera. They're more likely to hire a professional to come out and do that for them who has a camera, but we want to saturate the market much more. Can you guys develop a custom integration with our app for the 1X as a low cost way of getting any real estate agent the ability to capture and create their own virtual tours?" And when you look at the numbers, these folks were paying like between $200 and $600 per virtual tour for somebody to come out and do it for them. And Matterport looked at that and said, "Well, you guys can just buy your own camera for $400, and you can go out and you can create an unlimited number of these tours." And Matterport, I don't think they've shared the data on yet, but they've seen a huge spike in the amount of users that are going out and purchasing. I mean, it's kind of like this untapped technology. When I go to real estate shows, or when I used to go to real estate shows before the pandemic, it was an eye opener. People were like, "Why have I never heard of this technology?" And so the demand for it is there. We just need to be able to scream louder. Now, they're obviously, Rico had been in the space for a while longer. They've come out with several cameras that were specifically focused on the real estate world. But at the end of the day, there's uh, we're seeing this paradigm shift, right, between people who thought 360 cameras were cool and use them for action sports and purchase our cameras, to now them saying, "Well, I can use my 360 camera professionally and for all these things." So we're saturating the market with our existing users as well, versus just going out to new ones. Um, it's there have been several Matterport updates that we've made since then, and because of that success, we got in touch with all of these other virtual tour companies, right? There's Kula now in 3D Vista who are really good at car virtual tours, and so they've taken what we did with Matterport and they've applied it to their user base and their app. So we're right now, it's just major scaling mode for us. We're trying to scale as quickly as possible. If there are platforms, I always tell people this: if there are platforms that we haven't yet integrated with that you would like to see us, please reach out to our enterprise team, and we'll make it happen.
Got it. Well, I mean, I think my question was a little bit different, and the reason I kind of push on it is because generally in the 360 kind of space, everybody loves the Insta360 because it probably has the video component of it, but kind of the professionals generally kind of tend to move towards the Z1 or the new product right now that's come out, which you can comment on, the Z1 51 or 52. I don't know. I think it's 51 or 52. And is there some kind of movement towards kind of improving photo quality? Because I think as good as Insta360 has done, I think photo quality is still something that they are lagging behind with Rico. So have you guys thought about that a little bit more? Which is, all right, like you said rightly, like you guys have done this partnership with Matterport, and we can talk about Matterport all day, and people kind of have a love-hate relationship with Matterport because of just their business ethics and all of those things. But it is definitely the leader in our space. I think working if you guys are seeing great kind of integration with them, I think that's amazing. But in terms of just the ability to have kind of high quality photographs, because that's kind of the place where I think right now the 1X and the 1X2 are kind of lagging behind with the data. So have you guys thought about that more deeply in the next updates, where hey, we nailed the consumer version of it, which you have, and I think your product is great for somebody that wants to do like quick 360 videos with effects and go really quick with that. But when it comes to kind of workflow for a professional and quality of the photos and HDR and all of that stuff, kind of Z1 kind of has that upper edge and is kind of the more recommended product. What are your thoughts on that? And will you kind of focus more on that, not on the Titans and the pros, because that obviously is a much higher margin business. I think you have no competition. I don't know if you do, but I don't think you have any competition in that space. And so, or do you want to just keep what you're doing in the consumer side at where it is, and then kind of more focus on the high video quality side?
Yeah, and thank you for repeating that. I must have misheard your question. There from a hardware perspective, I can say that there's always something cooking in the kitchen, right? There's we haven't forgotten about the professionals. This year is probably going to be an even more exciting year than it has been in past years. So once we're able to share more info, we'll probably be putting out some teasers. But the short answer is there's always something that we're working on.
The short answer is there's something coming this year for the professionals.
I hope so. We see a lot of.
I'm just trying to give something to our community, because I think that's what they want. They love Insta360 so much that they're definitely looking for that professional grade, because for a lot of people this is serious investment. It's about $500 in total, and so they want to make sure that they're making the right decision. And I just want them to wait or invest in the new Z1. So that's all I'm trying to get to, is that does Insta360 have some plans on the professional side to hire better photo quality to compete, or are they happy with kind of just being where they are, which is kind of action videos, editing, stuff like that?
We're never happy where we are. We always want to push the boundaries and continue to make better products and make updates to existing products. If you look at the past few years of our product release trend, you can pretty much guarantee there's going to be more new products coming later this year, right? We're never done innovating, and again, there's nothing per se planned for around the Pro 2 and the Titan as far as product update, as far as new products in market, but there are other products planned, and I wish I could tell you more about it right now. I'm trying really hard to give you as much as I can without spilling the beans, right? So if I said more, our engineers would kill me. No. They don't like telling marketing people for this very reason. So but the idea is, if you look at how the 1X and how the 1X2 now are evolving, the 1X originally didn't have HDR built into it, right? And so it was an improvement that came purely through software updates, and that says a lot, right? Being able to add something so crucial like HDR through firmware is a monumental effort. Rico is an incredible company. I only have good things to say about them. They've been around for quite some time, much longer than Insta360. But the difference is that we innovate on the software side. And I'll reiterate that the product that you start with is not the same product that you end up with. And it's some of the biggest positive feedback that we've gotten from our users as far as, hey, I put in this feature request update 2 months ago and you guys actually listened and did it. That's incredible. The other thing that makes Insta360 cameras so special is the AI that we're putting into it. So if you look at the X2, you have AI image processing. You have a new feature called Pure Shot that essentially takes a raw photo and it uses our AI algorithm to process it and make it look physically better. So there's a lot that's going on in our app behind the scenes that other companies just aren't doing right now. And that's kind of the thing that I tell folks is that yes, there are cameras with larger sensors out there, and there are cameras that might do what you need to do from a particular feature. But as far as the whole package and the whole bundle, there's no competition with Insta360 because you have high resolution cameras, you have video, you have innovative cutting edge features on the post side, and you have an ecosystem of products and other third party apps and services that we already well integrate with. And so that's kind of my general answer, right? And I'm already hearing about more updates being planned for the 1R, for the 1X Enterprise, and for the X2. And so this is actually interesting. The 1X used to be the 1X, and now it's the 1X Enterprise. And the reason for this is because we figured out a way of how to do in-camera stitching. It was something that was never possible with the traditional 1X.
I was going to ask you that question. Like, why haven't you guys kind of more focused on the on-device stitching? But yeah, in the enterprise version, I guess that's where it is.
Yeah, and the irony is that it came about a year and a half after the product released. When you look at a traditional action camera cycle, when you look at like let's say GoPro, for instance, they're putting out a new camera every year, right? We're doing the same, but we're continuing to focus on the previous generations of the product, and so we're scaling up without moving past those existing products. I personally, I had been asking our engineers to do the in-camera stitching for a while. Where there are, without saying two specific names, there are some major real estate platforms right now that we're working with that are the biggest in the game that have specifically asked for this feature as a way of integrating with their apps for capturing. And without figuring that out, we couldn't do it. And so our engineers spent time to actually go into the camera, redefine the way that the camera processes, and make it work on the same chipset without changing any of the hardware. It's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, so to everybody who's listening, if you guys have any questions for Michael, like start pushing it in. I'm going to also check on Facebook on my end also, because sometimes I don't see the questions on the side part. And as we're talking, I mean, if you find any questions, I'm happy to take them. All right, let me just put it up there. All right, okay. So Michael, a couple of more questions about sort of the ecosystem part of it and kind of what you would call as integrations, right? So right now the integrations with the other virtual tour softwares are mostly kind of in. I think the integration with Matterport is a little different, if I'm not wrong. Is it an SDK-based integration?
Yes, it's an SDK-based integration. They took our SDK, they built it directly into their app.
Into their phone app. Okay, got it. And is that true for the other virtual tour providers?
It's different, right? So we're really proud of this. If you want more granular control and you want more customization, there are more features that are available in our SDK, and we have an SDK for Android, iOS, Linux, pretty much any platform that you would develop on. We will offer it, and we have similar features across all of those platforms. And it's something that we've updated within the last 12 months or so. For anybody that wants an easier integration experience, we also have a deep integration with the open spherical commands with Google OSC. So it really just depends on how much time you want to spend and what result you want to achieve. But we go both ways.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So I think I remember that when we first started to integrate 360 cameras within our platform, and I was talking to you before this, is like we are the largest 360 sharing platform in the world. We have about 2.5 million people sharing 360s every day. Sorry, every month. That would be great if it was every day, but every month. You know, we have kind of flown under the radar for 360 camera companies, specifically yours. But we've been working with data since they have launched, and you know, we have integrated the ability to integrate with. They always had the ability to integrate with the open spherical configuration, but I think it took a while for Insta360 to have that, because, and I think the reason was because you didn't have on-device stitching, so you had to have your app to stitch the photo, and then then you had to export the photo onto the phone, and then from there you had to, and that's why we never actually even kind of came close to Insta360, because it just did not make sense for our users from an integration perspective, and I think you didn't have that at that point. So how did that kind of journey go from, hey, you know, and is that mostly because of the enterprise side, or did you also see a lot of demand from the consumer side, which is like, you know, we want to be able to share quickly, or we want to use this for other purposes?
Oh, looks like you got kicked off there.
Oh,
I think
I'm back.
no.
There you go. See,
I think what most people are surprised to hear is that a lot of these major updates came from the consumer space, right? From users like yourself that said, "Hey, Insta360, I have this job, and I need you guys to try to build this feature out for me." We come at it from, we're technologists, right? We're camera builders, and we see emerging technology and we build them into the cameras themselves. You guys are the community of users who go out and actually use the products out in the field. And so we have a pretty valuable network of alpha and beta testers who go out and say, just flat out tell us this is going to work or this isn't going to work. Here's a list of features that we need to improve in order for this industry to benefit. And over the past like 4 years, that network has grown. And they really help us a lot to understand where we need to make improvements in various developments. So the enterprise space was a spinoff of what we did for professional users, right? So the enterprise space, they're always last to onboard things. But with especially this past year with COVID, it really thrusted the 360 technology into the public spotlight. Everybody's scrambling and saying, "Hey, I have this budget that I need to spend on 360 cameras," but they don't know what they need to do with them. And so we're trying to make it easier for them to say, "Hey, listen, you guys need to do remote trainings, or you need to do live streaming or broadcasting or whatever you need to do. Here are the right tool sets for you. Here's the camera that you need. Here are the 3 software partners that you can use alongside this technology." And we're trying to just give them snippets and bites of information that can help onboard the tech. But yeah, I have to give a huge shout out to any professional user that's been in touch with us over the past 4 or 5 years, who's inspired us with features. Seriously, a big thank you to you guys for helping us innovate.
Awesome. So I think the questions are pouring in. One that you can see here is by Michael Levy. There you go. So he's asking, any plans to do work with integration?
Yeah. Hey, Michael. Thanks for the question. It's funny that you asked that, because Oculus was one of our first VR integrations that we did. When we released, do you guys remember the Evo camera, our dual lens stereo 180? When we released that camera, alongside of it, we released an integration with Oculus, which is basically the ability to take your live preview or your recorded video that lives on your camera SD card and stream it directly to an Oculus Go headset. It was a really cool integration, because before, and Vineet, you touched on this, right? What did you have to do before to take your content and put it onto an Oculus headset? You had to spend hours in post for it to even live on there, right? So we made the process easier. Was it ideal? not at the time, because the technology was still growing, but it still gave users a taste of, like, if you're a director and you're on set and you want a live preview inside of a headset, instead of giving your card to your post producer and waiting for them to stitch it out and export it and drop it onto a headset, you can just pump it into your headset live, and that'll help you with everything from framing. You can check how the image looks and adjust your settings live on the spot. So there are many benefits for what we did with that integration. But still there were some challenges, right? The streaming rate wasn't great. Yeah, the image quality wasn't apples to apples with what you're getting on the recorded card. But you're still not shooting in the blind, and you're able to be on location without losing that location after a few hours. So it helped in a lot of ways. There are some integrations that are in the works for the newer Oculus products right now. We're working on our app for the Quest 2. There was a big focus on with Oculus for a while on gaming and entertainment, and so there's finally a new initiative with them to focus more on 360 cameras, and we're really excited about that. So hopefully sometime this year we'll be able to re-release an app and an integration with them.
Awesome. So Athlete Joseph is asking a question about the heating of the camera. He says that his Insta360 heats up a lot. I don't know if that's a common thing, but is that something that is something you guys have noticed people complain about, or are there any things that you guys are doing to make it better? I'm not sure about this because I haven't faced it myself, but if it's something that people have complained.
I guess it's a broad question, but I have seen it before. It really depends on how much you're using your camera, how long you're running it for, what conditions you're using it in. Can you give us some more information, or maybe message me offline and I'll try to help you resolve it, Ashley?
Yeah, all right. Sean Swanson asks, will filmmakers be able to rely on HDR? I prefer creative projects with a lean workflow.
We're working on it. So I think the biggest challenge with HDR video is motion shots, as I'm sure you're well aware. Stacking multiple different exposure stops in a video can create a little bit of motion blur. We've put out a few updates in the past, like, year to year and a half, that have helped a little bit more. But for now, my personal recommendation is to rely on HDR for stationary shots, but it's improving.
Okay, awesome. I'm seeing some questions here. Most of them are, one is about the Go 2. No, it's just the Go. It's not the Go 2. I don't know why it says Go 2. But the question is about kind of what is the best use case? I mean, I can't really understand what it's trying to say, but I think what it's trying to get at is that what is the best use case for the device? Like, what are you seeing, and what was your vision for it? Because, like I said, it is something that can be used for a million things. But what was the kind of the main focus for you guys?
There's two main focuses.
Okay.
The first one is average everyday folks, average consumers who want to create better content, whether it's their personal lives, their daily lives, vacation, whatever it is, without needing to be trained filmmakers, camera shooters, or editors. And I think that was the biggest problem with traditional action cameras, and I was guilty of it, right? I would purchase GoPros every year, and I would get all the accessories, and I would get really excited about shooting with it, and I would spend most of my time on vacation planning my shots. But when it came time to edit, I dreaded it, because I don't have professional editing skills, and everybody wants to make their content look as good as possible. And so the result of that now is I have about 6 terabytes of vacation footage just sitting there waiting to be edited. That I'm sure you're this. A lot of folks are the same way.
Everybody
And
has that.
so
I mean, I think that was the biggest problem with GoPro, is that you would go and you would use the GoPro, and then you would come back and be like, "Oh my God, I gotta sit and edit this stuff," and it would just it would just be like a nightmare.
and it's not just GoPro, right? It's the same way with a lot of action cameras, the Sony action camera and all these cameras that were coming out, right? And for action sports users, it's a really cool thing because you can put a small camera on your head or on your chest, and you can do your amazing activity, and then you'll have your editing friend or you yourself will go out and edit that content. But with Insta360, we're putting a huge emphasis on automation. So if you don't want to edit your content, you can have the app do it for you. And if you go into the app and if you go into the shot lab section of the app, you'll get all these automated templates. And our AI will detect what activity you're doing. So if you're just having an average day, or if you're doing a sport, or if you're smiling or laughing, it'll find all of those relevant clips in your roll, and it will select what it deems as the best portion of each photo or video, and it'll stitch it together for you into a timeline. But you can what I personally like doing is I like the app to take a crack at it first, and then I can go in and I can tweak every single clip that's in there, and I can adjust it to my own specifications. That's kind of the market that we're going after. It's average people who just want to be able to better capture their lives, and that goes with the core value of Insta360 across all of our products. We just scaled it to a much smaller form factor with this, because even when you're walking around with a traditional action camera, it's still something that's bulky and that needs to fit in your pocket or in a bag or somewhere that's going to take up a bunch of space, especially with all the accessories. With Go 2, it's like the wear it and forget about it camera. You can mount it anywhere. You can take it with you anywhere. It's small. It's easy to turn on. And the difference between I think the key thing is looking at the Go 1 versus the Go 2. And with the Go 1, the size and the form factor was a really cool proof of concept, but it had some inherent problems in terms of the workflow, right? It wasn't super easy to use. It would only capture INSV files, which is a proprietary file format for Insta360. You had to first export on your phone, and then you had to get those videos. And so it created a bunch of extra steps. And besides that, the resolution wasn't on par with modern action cameras, and there were challenges at every step. But with Go 2, it kind of resolved all of those hurdles, right? If you want the best stabilization that the Go 2 can capture, you'll still record in pro mode, which will give you that spherical INSV file. But for average consumers, for anybody that just wants quick captures, you can go into standard video mode and it'll record an MP4 for you. So you have the ability to customize your whole experience from the capture level all the way to how you do post-production and how you deliver that content. So the other group of users is obviously action sports users, right? Even an action camera, like for example, if you ride motorcycles, or if you ride mountain bikes, or if you're doing backflips on a snowboard, having the extra weight of a traditional action camera, it can still throw you off. Even though most folks say, oh well, I'm used to my action camera by now. Even like something like the 1R that we make, it's still considered bulky for like these actiony activities. But if you're I put 3 Go 2s on. We have a partner who rides motocross, and he's incredible. His name's Javier. If you haven't checked him out, please do. He's absolutely insane. But we put a couple of those Go 2 cameras, and he's like, well, I don't even feel this at all. It's like I'm wearing nothing. So I feel safer about doing whatever I'm going to be doing, these big stunts, with this tiny little camera that still gives me incredible quality. So there's a lot of different niches for it. And I really think it's going to change the game for action sports.
Awesome. Great. So I don't know who sent this question. It is a little bit a weird question. I don't really understand it, but it says I have the whole set, but the tripod needs to be better quality. You can't use it extended fully. It will tip over with wind or no wind, very wobbly. So yeah, Does Insta360 make tripods too? I'm not sure. I don't know.
We do, and I wish I had one here with me a second ago that I can pull up. So I think I know what you're talking about. That we have a bunch of different tripods that we make. There's one in particular that doubles as an indoor tripod, but it's actually our bullet time handle. So it with the 1X, we basically created our own version of bullet time that lets you spin your camera around your head
Oh,
at
right,
100 frames per second. That's Insta360s. It's the poor man's bullet time, right? Nobody can nobody can sit around with 20 or 30 different cameras and build their own bullet time rigs. So that was our first step into camera hacks, right? And after we came out with bullet time, you can see in our AI that you can do all sorts of other things, right? You can do hyperlapses, and
right.
you can create stop motion effects, and you can do this all super easily. Okay, so he said it's not the bullet time attachment; it's the one that you can extend. Um, do me a favor. Can you message me privately about this, and let's see what it is, because we really don't want you to have a poor experience. And if it's not the bullet time handle, then I'm not sure exactly which tripod you're talking about. So let's
Right.
let's
Yeah, I mean,
I'll
I think I promised Michael that there will be no questions about problems. So if you have any issues with any of the devices, either send me a message and I'll forward you to Michael, or we'll take care of that on that end. I think Atlee, I asked Atlee to go to the right group and message about the overheating thing, and I think. What he says is he's tried different SD cards and it happens both indoors and outdoors. And then, so I guess it's just, I think it's not a real, I think it's just a specific use case issue. So we let that pass by now. So before we kind of wrap it up, because I think we're almost at the end of an hour, Michael, I had a couple of kind of forward-facing questions, and everyone who's listening, if you have any questions, definitely post it, because sometimes people post it in other groups, and I need to go and kind of collect them on my end. So the thing that I love about Insta360 is how innovative they are with kind of coming up with new ways of using 360 cameras. And I think both me and Mike Tai, we're huge and probably a lot of people in the groups are kind of big proponents of 360 technologies and 360 cameras and 360 capture methods and so on and so forth. What is Insta360's point of view when it comes to the 360 technology and where it's going to go? Have you guys thought about LiDAR-based camera capture? I'm trying to think fast forward, right? Like fast forward 6 or 7 years, and I don't know if you're the right person, but 6 or 7 years forward, where do you think the point of view for Insta360 kind of lies at?
Well, the big picture is we see 360 cameras replacing traditional cameras in most aspects. The resolution is going to get higher, the stabilization is going to get better, the battery life is going to get longer, the cameras are getting smaller, and we see our biggest challenge is we need to do more education. We need to show people that the value of reframing and how you can use how you can use it for traditional capture. And we're seeing it now, right? If you look at any of the communities, you're seeing folks from the professional space that are starting to incorporate them on their shoots for special angles and special shots, where it saves you money, it saves you time, and it gives you more options later in post. And the biggest hurdle has just been that the new industry, if for the professional film industry in particular, the standard deliverable is now becoming 4K. So it's challenging to take your Pro 2 camera and fit it into a workflow where you can reframe out that 4K, or you can take the Titan out and you can reframe the 11K, because there's still some processing that needs to go happen. Now we've put out up integrations with Adobe, like no stitch editing, that allow you to automatically cut out portions of your 360 that you don't want, which has saved users a monumental amount of time. But there's still improvements that we need to make in order to make it kind of like a universally accepted technology over fixed lens cameras. And that's our goal, right? We want to, if you guys, besides the obvious, which is resolution, and if you have suggestions for us on the workflow side, we're all ears. So feel free to reach out.
Awesome, great. Yeah, I mean, Michael, thanks a lot for coming on board. I think we have a bunch of more questions, but we're running out of time. And I would love to kind of have you on again when we will have the next new updated camera that you did not promise or you did not say is going to come. But I'm really excited to see what Insta360 does on the professional side, enterprise side. I think that's one place where I see that Insta360 can really kind of make an impact. Because from a general kind of use case of every day, I think Insta360 does a great job and is probably top of mind for anybody that wants to use that kind of product. So congratulations, great job on the product, and thanks for coming on our live stream. And hope to see you back again when the new device ships.
Thank you so much for having me, and thanks from everyone at Insta360. We're excited to show you all what we have coming in the future.
This year, you mean?
This year we'll have more new products for sure.
All right. I'm just trying to get something out, but thanks a lot, Michael. All right, take care, man.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Just stay there. I'm just gonna kind of wrap it up and then kind of meet you backstage.
Sounds great.
All right. All right, everybody. Thanks for staying along and engaging with us. We had a lot of questions, but I think my Q&A kind of got a little bit too long to actually get to all the questions. But this series is going to continue. I really apologize that I wasn't able to do it last week, mostly because I've been traveling and had bad internet all along. But next week we are going to talk about high value sales, and we're going to have an expert who's going to probably talk more about specifically writing emails and writing sales letters to potential customers, especially in the virtual tour space. So I'm excited about that, and I'm going to see you all next week. Take care. Bye-bye.